Parks, your host this morning for Village in Motion, and we're going to be talking with Ron Taylor, our Director of Finance. Today is Thursday, April the 12th. I guess I should put that in before we start talking with Ron. So Ron, welcome very much to Village in Motion, and we're going to learn a little bit about the finance office today, and our health in finance.
Exactly. I'm always glad to be here.
Good.
Yeah, so one of the things we always try to make sure our residents as well as the staff members on campus understand, what's our overall financial position. We continue to be in a strong position. However, we are in a situation where we struggled with our overall revenue during the first quarter of the 2018 year. And that's really driven by the fact that we had such an impact with the flu and the GI outbreak during the first part of the year.
Well, how did that affect our finances?
Well, unfortunately, what it did, it created an instance where individuals weren't able to do their normal activities on campus, whether it is eating in our dining rooms, whether it is using some of our services, as well as it had a direct impact on our occupancy, predominantly within our continuing care department. So it's affected our departmental revenue, and that unfortunately has a direct impact on one of our major metrics, which we call NOI, or net operating income.
But we did have people continue to come in and occupy new apartments, right?
From an IL standpoint, yes, that's correct. Independent living standpoint, yes. So there were our settlements, individuals did take keys and move in, but it did have a direct impact on our critical care. Yes.
Yeah, as I recall, our occupancy rate was about 98.5, somewhere along in there.
Well, if you listen to David Taylor, our sales
director,
the other Taylor, that's correct. We've actually had an extremely high occupancy with an independent living so far this year, to the point I think for February we were at 99.5.
99.5.
Yes.
I think that's the highest I've ever heard.
It actually has been it was the highest in the enterprise thus far this year. So a great tribute to David, Franklin, Maya, and the team down in the sales department. They've done a fabulous job, and we got to continue to do that because that's really a large portion of the way that we drive revenue for the campus.
But the occupancy rate changes every day, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So you at 99.5 today, but it wouldn't vary too much from that. It might go down a point or
correct.
A tenth rather, or two.
Correct. So if I look at where we are as of yesterday, I think we're at 99.2.
Okay.
So definitely a drop, but the fact that we are above our overall target rate, our target is typically around 98.5. So the fact that we are above 99, it puts us in a great situation.
So we're back into the 99s now. Consistently, are we?
And yes, but I would also say that it's not our expectation that we will stay there. Because as individuals look to relocate, because individuals do unfortunately have needs to leave the campus, whether they move in with family members, change geographic location, it does create a situation where we can probably drop back down in that high 98 category. But I think we have a great pipeline of residents, so I think we'd be in good shape.
And we have a lot to offer residents, so to me, Green Spring has been one of the most pleasant periods of my life, really. Although I'm up in the 80s, I have really enjoyed it here. So I hope the other residents, when they move in, they share the same kind of.
Well, great. We're going to actually get you on our sales team and have you go out and sell for us as well.
Yeah, sure.
And one of the things that we always try to understand, what are the experiences of our residents? We realize that we will not meet every expectation of every resident, but where we meet the majority of those expectations, we want to make sure that that is really highlighted. And I think that's a great segue into one of the things that my team is trying to do on the regular is identify how can we improve the services that individuals receive when they come to the finance department. When I look at the resident satisfaction survey, we heard that individuals had concerns about the accuracy of their invoices, as well as the timeliness and overall responsiveness when they interact with many of the individuals in the administrative team. So, I one-on-one kind of look at the invoice issue. I want residents to understand that the finance group, we are really the catalyst for delivering an invoice, but the input for those invoices, the charges and the line items there, they are driven by the department that rendered service. So dining services or home support. So if ever there's a question or a need to investigate a charge, that really has to be directed to that specific department.
So you never see a charge?
We don't see the charges
as it goes through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we really see the invoice as the resident sees the invoice, what's actually listed there. So,
do you get a copy of each invoice?
Yes, we do. That is a system generated product that we can look at real time. And so it gives us the ability to have a meaningful conversation with the resident, but we can't do a lot of investigative work behind that. So we always try to direct the resident to that particular department.
Well, they would keep the records.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. One of the other things that we're doing within the finance group is we've implemented what we want to call one-call resolution. So when a resident stops into the finance department or they call into our direct dial number, we want to try to ensure that they receive the full support that they need that first time, and there's not going to have to be follow-up. Can't do it every single time because often we do have to do some investigative work, but we're trying to at least hit that 75 to 80% of the time. So we want our residents to be mindful of that's the type of service we're trying to deliver. And thus far, I think that's happening.
Good.
So
how many people do you have in the finance office?
We have a total of 7 individuals that's in the finance department.
That includes you?
That includes myself.
Okay.
One of the individuals is Leon Smith. He is part of our purchasing and receiving group over in Garden Ridge, as well as Yolanda Edwards. She is part of my team. She is the business office manager, and she also sits in Garden Ridge. The remainder of that staff actually is in Town Center.
Okay.
Yep. So
the 5 and the two over Garden Ridge, and okay, gotcha.
Correct. Yeah. So one of the things that I also really try to understand is what's the experience that our residents are having as they interact with our finance team. And so we've actually created a comment card, and this comment card is really designed to identify what is that experience. It allows the resident, after they've interacted with our team, to really document, here's what I came for, here's what happened, was I satisfied with the service rendered, or was I unsatisfied, and what's the opportunity for us to improve. So we're really encouraging.
You're hoping that every resident who comes in fills out a comment card.
Without a doubt.
No matter what they ask about, but if they come into the finance office, before they leave, you'd like to have them fill out a comment card.
Exactly. Exactly. So we'd love it if that can be the case.
And where do they put that?
They can actually just turn it into the finance office, or they can drop it into the payment slot that exists in each of the neighborhoods. That way, if they want to take it home and fill it out, they can definitely do that.
Does the finance committee get involved with the?
Yes, without a doubt.
Okay.
So I meet with the finance committee, and we kind of talk about the issues that we're dealing with, and I do share. Here's what's happening from the resident satisfaction survey, and here's what my team is doing about it. So we definitely will be sharing this with the finance committee.
Good, okay.
So, but we're excited. Our overall goal is to ensure that our residents have a great experience from the time that they take keys until they are entering their process for a refund for whatever reason as they depart the campus. We want to make sure that that experience is one that is just as good on day one as to their overall departure.
Good. Well, what's your experience with the comment cards? Are you getting a high percentage of people filling them out?
Unfortunately, at this point, we've not gotten a high percentage, and so that's why I'm here marketing that today.
Okay, and that's why I asked you if you wanted everybody to fill it out.
Exactly. So we probably only get about 2% of our residents that interact with us filling out the comment cards.
Okay, and is that negative or positive?
I would say the actual responses we get are very positive, and so that's a great thing, but I really would like to have a larger representation of the experience of our residents.
Okay, so there you go, residents.
Yeah. The other thing that we always are trying to do is educate our residents on things that benefit them. So we have a finance form that we do. Actually, there are 9 forms that we do throughout the year. We have the move out or when a resident passes away form. We have a transitional form as when residents transition from independent
now you're
living.
talking about FORUM and not
Correct.
FORM.
That's correct.
Yeah, because maybe they don't understand that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good catch there. So these are really training sessions or presentations that we do to really influence and educate our residents on specific areas.
And you're having one today.
Yes, we are. We're having one today. Today's forum is when individuals move out or pass away. It's being hosted in the Hunters Crossing Conference Center at noon today. We do ask individuals to register, but it is designed to ensure individuals understand what is that process. And the big part of that, Gray, is making sure that their family or their individuals that are helping with their final arrangements understand what those requirements are. Yeah. So it's actually a great forum. We do it typically 2 or 3 times a year. And so we're looking forward to a great turnout today as well.
I can see the family being important in your and for you because it's the family that's going to represent us when we need to be represented. Is that?
That's exactly the point.
So they need to understand.
That's correct. And unfortunately, in many instances, Gray, our family members, they weren't sitting at that sales table when our residents filled out the residence and care agreement. And they really don't have a lot of insight into what the residents' responsibilities are, what our responsibilities are. So these forms are really designed to make sure that there is transparency between the family, the resident, as well as Green Spring.
That's a very good point.
So we're excited. So we ask individuals stop by the finance office. They can get a list of all the forms that we have going on for the remainder of the year. They can sign up for those because we do require you to reserve a spot for it. But we definitely recommend that you bring family members, the power of attorneys if you have them, their attorneys. All are definitely welcome to attend.
Good. We have 1 more minute. What else, Joe, would you like to tell us?
I think the big issue for me is trying to help drive awareness. We often offer things that can help our residents. We offer what's called automatic bill payment, which really takes away a lot of the burden of having to remember, did I write my check this month? It's an automated process. It is a very secure process. We have 42% of our residents taking advantage of the automatic bill payment process.
I signed up for that because I found myself putting the bill aside and sometimes not, paying it until the end of the month or maybe even forgetting it, and unintentionally.
Unintentionally.
But by doing the direct payment, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I look at the bill and say, okay, everything's there, and
exactly.
That's it.
And so I always want to emphasize that individuals have the opportunity to review that bill before the deduction is going to happen. Yeah. So if there are any disputes or things need to be adjusted, there is that opportunity for that to happen before the withdrawal. So you are always in control. If ever you want to stop it for a month because of whatever reason, you can always do that and re-resume. So you're still in control, but it really takes away some of the administrative piece that residents have to deal with. Yeah. And you mentioned a very good point of if you forget to pay the bill, this kind of takes away that. Yeah. And I always want to make sure residents are aware, based on that resident care agreement, there is a late charge that is applicable if you do miss a payment. And so we don't want that to be a situation that our residents fall in.
Well, thank you very much, Ron. You've given us some good information, and I certainly encourage you to sign up for direct payment because that does ease the mind on having to write the check. It's just you don't even have to worry about it. All right.